You're live now.
Yes, we had a meeting as various student organizations, and we are here and we're going to speak on our own behalf. But what had united us was, in the first instance, a minimum project, which was to get government to agree to and universities to agree to a no-fee increment. And on that score, we think that we have been listened to. There has been an agreement, and the President has made an announcement about a no-fee increment, which is something that we celebrate. We raised a number of other issues about the students who have been arrested, and also about the academic program, that there needs to be consideration now that examinations would need to be shifted. But the other matters that we raised, like free education, the slow pace of the implementation of free education, we raised the issues of institutional autonomy, we raised the issues of funding in universities and how administration is administered, we raised the issue of vice chancellors and the high salaries of vice chancellors, but also about the low cost, the low funding of higher education institutions. But on the question of no fees and fees must fall, we believe that we have been listened to, and there are commitments to not only just deal with that in 2016, but to look at vice chancellors propose various other structures, commissions that they say must be there to discuss outsourcing, because we raised the issues of workers. Our universities are outsourcing a lot of workers, and there were some agreements around what commissions will be there, but they must be representative of students, but also opening of the books of the universities, because we also raised the issue of reserves that some of the universities have, and that we need to look at all of that. But also the issue of the private sector, issues were raised about taxation for free education, issues were raised around various modalities that we as students were proposing that need to be there. But we think that I'll allow others to also add on those issues.
Yes, firstly, from the EFF Students' Command, we are very disappointed with the deliberations. We thought that we're going to go into discussion and come up with solutions, not temporary solutions. Yes, it is correct that on the issue of fee increment, the state president has said that they are going to ensure that the universities do not increase their fees. In fact, it was a recommendation from vice chancellors. But also, it must be stated that it is only for 2016, meaning that in 2017, if we were to have a similar situation, we'll go back to square one. But it must be understood that the issue of a no-fee increment is a drop in the ocean. What we're advocating for as students collectively is the introduction of free quality education. The state president has said that we must come up with proposals as to how are we going to arrive at that. As the EFF Students' Command, we were adamant that there should be an introduction of education tax, where individuals are taxed at the minimum of 2% of their annual income, and corporations are taxed at a minimum of 5% of their annual revenue. And we also propose that there should be a discussion in Parliament where free fee quality education is discussed. And we're very disappointed by the response of the Minister of Higher Education and Training, because he says that it does not have to be discussed, it must be gazetted, and only then it can be discussed. We're saying that all students countrywide, black, yellow, pink, blue, we're calling for free quality education. This is an urgent matter. It requires the attention of government, all stakeholders, including the private sector. And for the Minister of Higher Education to say that it does not have to be discussed as a matter of agency, we're having a problem with that. That's why you find a situation whereby the vice chancellors of this institution are also reluctant in discussing issues such as free quality education.
From PASMA, I'm Diakola. I represented PASMA in the meeting. I'm with Nari, another comrade. Well, other issues have been said by comrades. But what we must stress out is that the fees must fall. It's different from the fee increment must fall. Students' call is that we cannot afford the fees. I'm making a typical example to you, ma'am. A student in Rhodes who pay 90,000 this year, it means 2016 she will still again pay 90,000. And the call is that those parents do not afford those 90,000. As a result, we are saying as PASMA, our call is a free education must be realized. We have read that we said we are not stupid. practical. We're not saying let's sleep and tomorrow wake up on a free education country. We're saying the government must commit itself to time frame to say, give us 2 years to prepare a money to say in 2018, the first group will start to get free education. In the meantime, thereafter, we arrange the temporary situation of saying it means between 2016 and 2017, there must be no fee increment. But we must also say that the state president with the vice chancellors and student leadership, all of them, we have agreed that the fee increment, which is 0, we are agreeing upon that one, that what they say will not there. But what we must raise also that the government and the people must know is that we do not want any worker who will be retrenched next day in universities on the fact that we are trying to fill the no fee increment from the student side. We are saying the government on November, when they pronounce the budget speech, we want to see the figures. How much will they put aside to fund education? If then on that day that does not happen, we must then start again. But moreover to us, we keep saying student struggles must be led by students as they've started by students. But for any of us, we must keep saying one thing: students demand free education, and our proposal is simple. Our land has resources, and government knows where the resources. Government must stop being afraid.
Okay, we've lost the sound, but let's stay as long as we can on the union buildings. These will be still shots of what was seen today. Let's see if we can listen to those visuals, listen to the sound once more.
How much government must just start dust those documents and go and implement them now. We're saying the next sitting parliament, which will adopt the budget on November, it must reflect on the fund that is going to be given to the student. We're also saying students now, their call must be directed to the office of the treasurer. It's not enough to personalize issues to Nzimande. Nzimande is the drop in the ocean. Treasurer is the part, president the part. The whole government must be part of committing to say we want free education as soon as yesterday.
Well, the march also went beyond with the messages that we saw. We saw quite a lot of violence here at the union buildings today. Who's responsible for that?
Yes. On that one, who are from that meeting, we've raised the issue of our comrades who are currently in jails. When we agreed there, the state promised us that because they've been accused to interfere with the government issue, with the judicial issues, they're going to go out of that meeting, make sure that students are being released following the processes of the judicial. And we also ready to say we are being victimized by these policemen. It seems to say they are not knowing what they're trying to do. When we get out of there, we thought that we'll find harmony in students. But when we get to students, we find very armed people ready to fight with students. As I said to them, them flying helicopters coming with guns, it starts violence. Students want to respond to them. They must let leaders speak to students. No one is having a gun there. But this is an issue that the Minister of Police must address. It happened in Marikana. It happened under the government. It will happen today if the Minister of Police think that by firing students, you are resolving issues. We are saying the administrative issues must not be resolved through a force and a force action, which is to shoot students. We are saying we condemn the government and we want President Zuma to come out there and on our resolution to condemn all those today who have violated our resolution. Tomorrow we are saying none of our students must be in jail. If anyone is there, President Zuma must know that we are going to hold them accountable for that action.
So what's the way forward now? Are you going back to the classroom? Are you going to be urging students to go back to school?
Well, we think that we are at a critical time of examinations. Our view is that we need to also focus on those examinations now. But definitely the discussions must continue. The point that we want is that students have shown the country that if we are united, we are able to advance our struggles. And we believe that this is a step towards the realization of free education. And we need to continue to engage with students. And we are going to go back to our individual structures to go and report back to them about the outcomes of the meeting, not just with the media, but also to engage our structures directly to say this is what the outcome is, but this is what the struggle is, and we are continuing with the struggle for free education. So that is very, very important that all structures across. Also, I want to thank all other organizations. Some of them are not organizations of students, Open Stellenbosch, Rose Must Fall, who also were very much part of this movement, for students to get this fee-free, the zero-fee increment. And we think that all those organizations must be acknowledged. The SRCs and everybody must be acknowledged to have played a critical role in ensuring that this struggle. So this is something that we have said as all organizations, that it belongs to all of us. It does not belong to individuals, but belongs to students as a whole.
Yes. The students, remember, we are representing the constituency, and students are going to guide us as to whether we are proceeding with the struggle or not. In fact, if they say that we must continue up until their needs are fully addressed, then unfortunately we must adhere to the call of students.
We are saying them students are their own liberators. They started their own revolution because we are leaders. The few who have been chosen to lead with them. We are still saying, even now at this point in time, the fact of that we are reporting to them, we are saying what they must do is up to them. Upon leadership, what we must do is to subject ourselves to what students want. At no point in time we're going to say stop now, start now, because it will seem as if the issue is about us. It's not about PASMA, not about SASCO, not about DASO, not about EFF. It's about students who are aggrieved. If they are saying we feel that the 0% will not make any changes, we want 10% decrement, we are going to take where we started and move forward. For now, we're saying we're going to go back to our responsive places where we're meeting students in all institutions and say, colleagues, do you want now to go to exams and wait for this zero fee increment of next year? Or you are saying, no, we want the free education to be there today. As I was saying, ma'am, for now, we cannot say strike is stopping, strike is continuing. We're saying students, as they are the own liberators of themselves. With us being students, we will decide with the students, not on behalf of students. We cannot do that at any day. Students will decide with them. If we want to continue, but our goal is we want free education. If they say, let's engage gradual moving forward, we shall do that at the time where students tell us.
Yeah, it must be acknowledged that the 0% fee increment does not end the struggle of students. The struggle must continue. But as was said by my colleagues here today, it must be up to students. And we want them to be able to take decisions as they believe is fit for them going forward. Of course, the academic program is important, but equally so is the struggle. We've got, it was mentioned, a budget vote that's taking place in November. In this meeting, we've got absolutely no commitment from government that they're going to do anything to assist students from themselves. And therefore, we're saying that we're not satisfied, but this is a start. We need to acknowledge that this is a start, but students must decide going forward, how do we take the struggle forward, but the struggle must continue.
The last issue, ma'am, is that the historical debts, we have tried to engage with government. On that one, we must say it here. The president has said they believe that the government has said those who graduate, who has debt, must be relieved of their debt institutions. We are calling upon all our SRCs and all leaderships in all structures to say they must go and test it tomorrow. They must go and check if someone who has graduated, who has a debt, will he or she get his academic qualification, because that's the response we got from them. And if it does not happen, the Minister for Education, Comrade Blainsman, who have agreed there in the meeting that it is indeed like that, he must make sure that those students who have graduated, who are still having debts, must get their qualifications, because tomorrow they must go and work so that tomorrow they can try to contribute to the same NSFAS moving forward.
It goes further than that. In fact, Naledi Pandor was in the meeting, came to us and said, well, we've got National Student Financial Aid Scheme, and once you qualify, it's going to be converted into a full bursary. So we are saying, if that's what you're saying, which is not the case, you don't understand what is happening, then make that a reality. We're going to hold you accountable for that. And we're also saying, government going forward, you need to also play a part in bailing out our students in the same fashion that you've been bailing out state-owned entities that have been failing. Our students are under massive burdens of debt. Their entire futures are being taken away in front of them, and they need to act and they need to show some leadership in this regard.
Just to add on the issue, there's one important issue that was raised inside, is the issue of reserves. Universities have billions of rands. By the way, we proposed to the state president that the vice chancellors that are there, they must tell us how much do they have in their reserves. And the state president refused. He said that it will be discussed in another time. If we are in a transparent government, transparent society, why can't we discuss the issue of reserves? Because our view is that those reserves, they will assist students in ensuring that we deal with the crisis that we have.
Lastly, I think just one last issue. One, we want our government to go, to change the law in terms of institutional autonomy, so that we deal with the issue of government being able to regulate fees. We deal with the issue of universities having the right to choose who to teach and what to teach, because this is what is causing Stellenbosch to remain with 70% of their students white. And we raise the issues about the lily white academia, the untransformed universities, the questions around decolonizing the curriculum and transformation of the curriculum, which were very, very important issues that we thought we need attention. But also, lastly, on the question of the reserves, there's an agreement that there needs to be an involvement of students when universities open their books, because we need to know what resources are there, and we want to hold accountable everybody, the meeting and the vice chancellors, to be part as student leadership of all those discussions that are going to be talking about what funding do we have in government, what funding do we have in universities, and also the discussions that we raise around taxation, that the private sector must also play a role. Thank you.
Well, saying all these reserves must be nationalized. They must benefit everybody.
Yes.
Not the former white institution funded by the apartheid government. Must be taken by government, be nationalized, and develop the whole education.
Thank you.
Well, certainly, as you've heard there, Francis, student leaders who were in that meeting with President Jacob Zuma, essentially saying that while they welcome the 0% increment, what they want to do now is to go back to the students and give them the feedback, and it's those students that will decide whether the strike has been called off. So it remains to be seen whether students will go back to the classrooms tomorrow. Certainly it's something that needs to be monitored from here.
Thank you very much, Criselda Lewis, coming to us live from the Union Buildings. Now,